Hello, I wanted to talk a little bit about belief. So, when I say the word belief, I feel like a lot of people, and even kind of myself included until recently, when we think of the word belief, we think of like religious or spiritual beliefs, right? Like, that's kind of what comes to mind first for me, at least. Maybe I don't know what other people think, but for me, for a while, what would come to mind would be like, oh, your religious beliefs, or like kind of like your morals or values, these kind of subjective things. And so it's got me thinking a bit about like what belief really is. And so if we look at it in the way it ought to be used, in my opinion, belief is kind of that thing that makes you very sure of something even without proof. Kind of like faith. Faith and belief kind of go hand in hand, in my opinion. Like how if you don't believe in gravity, that doesn't make it stop working. It's not really using the word believe right when you say it that way. Belief, used correctly, is often meant to discuss things that don't have inherent proof of correctness. Hence why it requires belief rather than just like knowledge and understanding, you know? Um, but as I've continued my journey thinking about what belief really means, I found that another part of it that most people in my circles don't seem to be talking about is that belief is, in a way, synonymous with limitation. And we see this especially in the fact that when you don't believe you can do something, you limit yourself, right? Like when you really, truly in your heart, don't believe that you can succeed with something, then you usually don't. At least in my experience. And you can lie and try to fake that you believe something to yourself. You can say it over and over, and you can think it, but until you really believe it, it's kind of your limitation. You'll find excuses or reasons or obstacles that you don't want to have the energy, or you don't have the energy to face, because you truly believe that it's not going to happen, or it's not meant to be, or you won't succeed in this way. So our beliefs, while we often have this kind of religious connotation to them. Truly, belief, at least in an interior kind of dialogue, your beliefs are your limitations, your self-imposed limits. But also, too, I think that a lot of people have this kind of negative connotation with limitations, but in my opinion, limitation is simply neutral, just from like a mathematical standpoint. Limits are just an area defined in which you can have answers. And without limits, sometimes, especially in like higher math, it just leads to like chaos and nonsense if there is no limit. Not necessarily like, I don't know. Anyway, but like, limitations essentially are also a set of rules and laws to create cohesion amongst the variables. And so like, I'm trying to think, like when we have sets of systems, right? Like think about like the dimensions of it, physical existence. We have three dimensions of physical reality, and within this reality, right, there is a certain set of laws that no matter what you do, you can't really get around, like the fact that you can't put your hand through a solid anything. Like it's just kind of one of the limitations, but it actually makes things possible, like picking something up, right? That limit in there is also a certain degree of controlled freedom, in a sense. So limitations are not inherently negative, but they are binding, if that makes any sense to people. But within the bounds, there is a cohesion of sorts. And so it's in an odd way, it's a union of sorts, but the belief itself is that binding membrane that brings it all together into cohesion. With having the limits, with having the standards and the rules, the mathematical, sets of what's possible. Where is the realm of possibility? It sets out the parameters of such. And so, um, so we have our internal and our external, like, our beliefs for ourselves and the external world, but then there are also what I'm calling like external beliefs, like what everyone, they agreed upon consensus, right? The shared hallucination. We all agree that humans can't just like jump off a building and float, right? Our laws of physics have kind of proven that one over and over again. Not that we're out here testing it every day. Like, we have the belief that if I jump off a roof, I'm gonna probably get really hurt if I survive, right? And you can choose to not have that belief, but then you jump off the building and you kind of get hurt because the belief of the people is there from the limitations that have been shown to us, even though, I'm sure there is a way. If you have a paraglider thing on and you jump off a high cliff, you're not going to fall immediately. The parameters, the beliefs change because we have a new set of variables. But I, at least for like internal belief structures, they really can limit you in a negative way for sure. And so believing that like you're not good enough, even if you're trying to build these habits of like being kind to yourself, cultivating kind inner talk, when you don't believe that you deserve it, you're kind of unreceptive to it, at least in my experience. And so really learning how to change belief, I think, it comes from changing identity, which is not a one and done thing. And if it is, that's kind of concerning. But a change in identity is slow and gradual over time, built through repetitive and consistent conscious redirection of thoughts and constant reevaluation, too, of where you're at with all these changing variables. Oh, God, I just forgot what I was going to say. But, I was going to say, too, so belief can work in a negative, limiting way. But on the other side of that coin, belief can work in a really positive way for you to kind of create new parameters of limitations or lack thereof, rather. I mean, there's still limitations in the, you can't jump off the roof kind of sense. But, like, when you change your belief system through changing your identity of I am not good enough to I am good enough and I do deserve good things. Well, now I believe that maybe I could go the extra mile for myself because I do deserve it. I believe that I am someone that deserves my own kindness. And so that will kind of spiral into changing what the limits and parameters previously were on your life when you didn't think you were good enough or deserving of kindness from yourself or others, right? So when we adopt that new identity and the new belief system of being deserving of kindness, the next time maybe we open a door for someone and they say thank you, we get to receive that thanks, and then it kind of creates this feedback loop of like proof that our belief is correct despite having the belief before we had the proof, right? And humans are just kind of pattern recognition machines, like really bad AI with full of like biases and emotions. Imagine if your AI was moody. That would suck. But belief is kind of like the program. And so what you believe is what you'll be attuned to seeking in your pattern recognition software of the mind. And so, belief is really just something so core and essential to every aspect of our lives. And I feel like it was never really discussed with me. I've kind of had to go and seek it out on my own because for me, it always had this connotation of like religious beliefs, like who do you believe God is and how do you think they want to be worshipped? And I was like, I don't, it doesn't interest me or concern me. But I realized, with further reflection, I do have my own beliefs, not necessarily always, I mean, yes, I do have spiritual and I wouldn't say religious beliefs, but well, in a way I do. But, you know, I do have my own spiritual beliefs, but I have beliefs that are completely unrelated to spiritual, religious, whatever. I have beliefs in, like, myself and my own worth and how I relate to others in the world, what my life and what my country is like. You know, I have all these different beliefs that, and we all do, that I think remain largely unconscious within ourselves until we go the extra mile to pull them into the conscious mind. But so, with all that random ranting, gibberish, and losing my place, I just wanted to reach out to people online and bring this to your awareness that your beliefs are your limitations, for better or for worse. So, you have the option to make a conscious choice now. And I hope that you make a choice that brings you comfort and peace, even if it maybe is discomfort at first, but long term, peace, happiness, growth, you know, all the good stuff. So have a good one, and I'll talk to y'all later.